everyone, and welcome. I am so happy to have you guys join us tonight for this author chat. Tonight I have Olivia Matthews / Patricia Sargeant, and I'm so happy you're here. We have lots to talk about, so this will be a lot of fun. But I do want to say that if you have any comments, readers or viewers, and that you'd like to ask Patricia or me or whatever, just go ahead and pop those into the comments, and I will be checking those later in the evening and asking them. And I'm just checking to make sure we're live right now, and we are. Awesome. Okay, so we're good to go. Always got to check that. Yep. Okay, we're good. So first of all, Patricia, we met at the Kensington. They do their like cozy cons. For those of you who haven't attended them, they had one in Columbus a couple years ago. Was it 2019? I think maybe.
Yeah, 2019, 2018.
Yeah, somewhere in there before the lockdown stuff. And they were supposed to have donuts.
We were promised donuts.
And we got there and there was no donuts. And I remember I had never met you before, but we just started talking and we were both like, where's our Boston cream donuts? Like, because both of us are fans of Dunkin' Donuts. We were talking about that. And it was just like instantly like bonded. I mean, it was, you know how you sometimes meet people and it's almost like you've met them before, it's almost kismet. And it was so funny because the photographer even thought we were like best buddies or something. And we were like, no, we just met. We were having fun.
It was the donuts that caused us to bond.
Yes. I think I messaged you one time too when I was somewhere and I was like, I'm in the airport and I'm stuck in the layover. I'm getting a donut.
You did. And I was so jealous. I had my mouth all ready for that Boston cream. It had been a while. And then we get there and it was like, nothing, no donuts.
They had coffee and other stuff, but no donuts.
They had healthy stuff like bagels.
So I always, when I have a donut, I think of you.
Oh, thank you.
And one of these days we're going to be at conferences again and we're going to have to go get donuts.
Yeah, I will rent the car. Road trip.
Find the donut place. So just for anyone watching, can you tell us just a little bit about what you write, like your series, both your mystery and romance? So
thank you for asking. So I write romance as Patricia Sargeant and also as Regina Hart, but Regina Hart is more contemporary romance and Patricia Sargeant kills people, but only in the books, I promise. So right now I'm continuing my Brooklyn Monarchs sports romance series, which features a fictitious NBA team set in Brooklyn, New York. That's why it's called the Brooklyn Monarchs. So that's Patricia Sargeant, because I'm taking back my name, and I'm independently publishing those. As Olivia Matthews, I'm really excited to now have 3 cozy mystery series as Olivia Matthews. So first there was the Sister Lou cozy mystery trilogy, and the amateur sleuth in the Sister Lou trilogy was a Catholic sister. And now that was with Kensington, where you and I commiserated over the lack of Boston donuts. Yes, I hold a grudge. Now with Hallmark, I have the Peach Coast Library Mysteries, which features a fish out of water librarian. She's a native New Yorker who moves to a small southern town, fictitious Georgia town, Peach Coast. And I'm really excited to have signed with St. Martin's to write my Spice Isle Bakery mystery series, which is going to be set in the Little Caribbean neighborhood of Brooklyn, New York. And the amateur sleuth will be a West Indian American baker. She and her family are originally from Grenada, West Indies, and they open this bakery, and murder ensues.
That sounds great. I hadn't heard that you got the third series. Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait. When does the first one of those come out?
Heavens to Betsy, Anna, it's 2023.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so you got a little bit of time yet, but that's still cool. Like, oh, wow.
Right.
That sounds great. I'm looking forward to that. So I
Thank you so
love Murder by Page One. I keep wanting to say Murder by the Page for some reason. Murder by Page One, your first in your Peach Coast mysteries. I just finished it and I just loved it. And
Oh, thank you.
I could totally relate to the fish out of water thing because I grew up in a really small town in Northwest Ohio, and then we moved to South Carolina when I was 17. I was a junior in high school, and it was just like culture shock. The language and everything, even, I mean, like, you know, just like the Coke soda thing, pop thing. And like, we were laughing because soon after we moved, we were in a restaurant and like we were like, I swear the waitress's lips never moved. Like she was talking, but her like, you know, the way the drawl, you know, it was just like, I'm reading this book and I'm like, oh my gosh, Marvy, I could so relate. So have you, I meant to ask you that. Where are you?
East Flatbush, Brooklyn, New York.
I was going to say, New York connection here. Awesome. Okay.
So when I moved to Columbus, Ohio, and people were saying pop, I was like, what?
The same thing. Yeah. The difference in language.
Tennis shoes instead of sneakers. I don't play tennis. Why do I need tennis shoes?
So have you lived in the South also, or just?
No, but I visited, and I have very good friends. I have a dear friend, her name is Tony, who is a retired librarian, and she's from St. Mary's, Georgia. And the way she has described her community there, and she really seems to love that community, and that's the community that inspired Peach Coast. Aww. So I emailed her and I said, let me pick your brain. And she was so generous, very generous.
You do an awesome job. I mean, like, because I told everything. I was like, yep. You can fall in love and still be like, what are you doing? You know? The differences and all that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's great.
And the way they talk a bit more slowly. And Marvin has a little trouble with that because, you know, New York is in and out.
Well, even me, it was like, you know, they were like, slow down. I'm like, sorry. Like, I didn't even realize I was talking fast. It's adjusting, you know?
Yeah.
You were spot on. I loved it. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I love that there's a kitty cat because I love cats. Oh my goodness. And Phoenix, his disdain and all his little glances. Oh, I loved it. Yeah.
Sometimes I had a cat who would actually look at me as though I had asked him for money. He's like, dude, I didn't ask you for money. Stop looking at me like that.
I love cats. They're just, oh my goodness. I think Amy Farrah Fowler said they're the epitome of indifference. You know, it's like, yep, that's right. I mean, we love them to death, but oh my goodness, they're so funny. I also had to laugh too, because I think your story about your covers for the Sister Lou series and the cat is the funniest thing ever. Like, you have to tell readers about this because it kind of gives you an insight to the way publishing goes sometimes. And so when you got a cat in this series, I thought of that. And
that's kind of why I put the cat in the series because it's preventive action. For those who may not have heard me whining far and wide about this, when I first developed the Sister Lou series, she did not have a cat. There was no cat in the series. And Kensington has published cozy mysteries without cats. They sent me several of them so that I would know what they're looking for in a cozy mystery. So I thought, you know, Sister Lou, she has her nephew, Chris. She has her best friends, Sister Carm and Shari, and she talks to God. There's no pacing for her to speak to a cat. And I thought it would be okay for her not to have a cat. So I write the story, I send it off. They send me the cover image. And there's a cat. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, please, notice how prominent the tush is. The tush is facing the reader. So very long story short, I mentioned that I'm concerned that if readers see a cat on the cover, they're going to assume that there's a cat in the story, and there's no cat in the story, and I don't want to mislead the readers. Oh, no, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. We're going to leave the cat on the cover because cats sell cozies. I don't know, I'll take your word for that. I'm not comfortable. So the book is released, and I'm doing a first event at a congregation of Catholic sisters. And they're very nice, and I have a co-presenter with me, Sister Maddie, who is the inspiration for Sister Lou. We're co-presenting at this congregation, and afterwards I do a book signing, and I'm a little startled by how long the line is, and someone says to me, I read the book, I just would like for you to sign it, but why? I kept waiting for the cat.
Here, 1 second in the middle of this. Oh, never mind, I unfroze. You're good. You froze for a minute. I was going to have you whatever, but you unfroze. Go ahead. Sorry.
Freezing my mouth open. But she said I kept waiting for the cat. So I just had to explain to her the long, sad story. And she kind of laughed, and I felt better. And so we go on. And the second book, Peril and Prayer, comes out. Just a quick second. Sorry. You'll notice, if I could get this, the cat is even bigger in this one. The tush is more prominent. So again, I mentioned I'm not really comfortable. So I sign off on the first round of revisions. The copy edits go to layout. They're in layout. I'm running on the treadmill. Yes, I do try to exercise sometimes. And I get this sense, like God is telling you something. Hey, check your emails. So I stop the treadmill. I check my emails. It's like after 6 o'clock in the evening. There's an email from the publisher, Kensington. Hey, just wanted you to see this ad that's coming out in Cat Magazine. Is it me? Or is that just insult to injury? So I launched the PDF, the image of the ad, and it's these 6 cozies. Yours might even have been included. I don't know. No, actually, it wasn't. Yours wasn't in there. 6 cozies. You have the image of the cover and like a 1-sentence blurb. Daisy and her psychic cat solve this mystery. June and her beachcomber cat solve this mystery. Sister Lou and her beloved cat solve a mystery. Oh, dun, 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 dun. So I rush to respond. Hi, Kensington. Hey, is there any way for you to pull that ad? Because Sister Lou doesn't have a cat, beloved or otherwise. Anyway, to pull the ad. Next morning, 8 o'clock. Bring, hello, Kensington? Okay, I got the voicemail, left a message. Can we put the ad? They called my agent because they didn't want to talk to me because I guess my please pull the ad kind of disturbed them. So they couldn't pull the ad. Instead, they wanted me to add a cat.
I've heard this and I still laugh every time because it's just so like, what? Like,
they wanted.
There's not a cat. Oh wait, you don't have a cat?
So I had to add a cat. Now the thing is, Anna, one of the reasons Sister Lou doesn't have a cat is that pets are not allowed in mother houses. And Sister Lou lives in the mother house. So where am I going to put a cat? I had to put a stray cat that just wanders the college campus. I have a scene where Sister Lou looks at the cat and then walks on. I was so horrified. So then I said, oh no, it gets better. Then I said, okay, since I have created this cat for Sister Lou, could we have a cat on the third book on Alibis and Angels? Wait for it. Wait for it. And I was told no. We're going to put a bunny on Alibis and Angels.
So now she needs a bunny. They run a pet store at the convent.
Exactly. Yeah. Just a pet store, just, somewhere in the congregation, maybe in the basement. Yeah, the bunny just really slayed me.
I know. After they did the cat, and then, no, we're not going to do the cat. That story just cracks me up every time because it just seems so unbelievable. But it's true.
I said to my editor, well, Sister Lou is Catholic. So I'm thinking Alibis and Angels takes place during the Lenten season, the Easter season. I think it would be better for us to have the eggs because the bunnies aren't really,
right.
the Catholic thing for Easter.
Right.
And she says, well, we'll think about it. So I called Sister Maddie and I said, bunnies? She said, oh, no. Eggs are for the Lenten season. Bunnies are for the hunting season.
Oh my goodness. That story every time. It's so funny to me. But I love Phoenix in your new series.
Thank you.
East Coast one, yeah. So oh, and you have such a great cast of characters too. With Spence and Joe and her buddies. Oh, and the librarians. I love the librarians. Like, do you have experience in a library, or did you just decide this was a great idea and just researched it? Or I love them. I love the cast.
I'm gonna try not to go too crazy, but I love the librarians. I really do. They were Google before Google.
Right.
I just when I was growing up and I would need help with something, and I would just, how would I research this? The librarians.
Awesome. Librarians are awesome. They just are. Do you, I can't think of the movie. What is the old movie that's got Katharine Hepburn, who's a librarian, and like, they're going to replace the reference librarians with like a computer. I mean, it's a really old movie. And then the librarians like beat the computer. I mean, there's other stuff going on, but I always think of that movie because I love that movie and I can't think of it. Somebody else is going to comment if we don't know it.
I hope so, because I would love to look that movie up.
Oh, it's good. It's a great movie.
Have you ever seen The Mummy with Brendan Fraser?
Yes.
And do you remember? But you may not understand me, Mr. O'Connell, but I know who I am. And he says, well, who are you? I'm a librarian.
Oh, yes.
Love that. I love that.
I think all readers rejoiced at that line. You know what I mean? Like, we get it. Like,
yeah, I love that line. I found the gif of it. I love that line. But I thought it would be one of the reasons I wanted to write this series is to highlight the importance of libraries, not just to readers, but to the community. The narrator of the audiobook, Janina Edwards, told me that when there is a natural disaster in a community, the first thing the community tries to get up and running is the library, because the library has resources to help the community pull back together.
That's true.
Yeah. Job search, there you go. Starting a business, find out what seminars your library might have to offer you. it's very important to the community, and I wanted to highlight that in the series.
I think you did a great job. Yeah, I mean, I've just read the first book, but I think I love it. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I just love their team, and it's a great cast of characters. I really liked them. So
I'm so glad. I wanted a lot of the action to take place in the library, but you also, like, she walks to work, so that
Right.
helps you to get a feel for the community. It's also a sharp contrast between living and working in New York, living and working in a small town.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, it's awesome. Yeah, it was great. So you grew up in Brooklyn, like so when you moved, did you move early or later in life, or like when you didn't move when you were a child? Is your family still in Brooklyn, or okay?
Yes, so I have most of my family is in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And then my sister, she's in DC, and I'm in Columbus.
It's all kind of a little triangle.
Yeah.
So did you go, what brought you to Ohio? Did you go to college in that area, or?
Excellent question. I went to Ohio State and I studied journalism at Ohio State. And it's funny because I've lived in different states, California, Connecticut, Texas, but wherever I go, I subscribe to the New York Times. It's self-defense, because when I visit my family, we all sit around and talk about current events. And if you don't know what's happening in New York, you can't contribute to the conversation.
Aww,
so I read the Columbus Dispatch, but I also, in self-defense, follow what's going on with the mayoral race. What's the Brooklyn Borough Council doing?
Gotcha. That's cool.
How are the Knicks?
Yeah. So you were a journalism major then? Like, did you work for a newspaper and stuff at first, or like?
Yes, I did, which is why a lot of my characters are journalists. Like, Spence is the editor and publisher of the daily paper. And sometimes some of my experiences with hostile public servants come out in my stories, which is why the mayor in Peach Coast is not beloved.
I noticed that.
He has a crush.
What's going on between him and Colleen, or Corinne, excuse me.
That's what, yeah, there's something going on there. She really doesn't like him.
That's great. Well, I'm going to flip through the comments here, see if we have any questions. We have a lot of just shout outs. Let's see. People interested in the book. Yay.
Thank you.
Oh, Mary and the Librarian. Yeah, that's another good one from the Music Man. Let's see here. Yeah, you'll have to go read through the comments. We had some oh, Desk Set. Is that the name of the movie? Somebody suggested that, but there was a question mark, so that might be it. I don't know. Anyway, you'll have to read through the comments when we're done. So if anybody's got questions, go ahead and pop those in. So we just have a lot of just, hey, I read it and I loved it. So which is always nice.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad.
So you got the other series coming up. What's going to be releasing for you next? Because I know Murder by Page One just released. Is there a second coming out?
Yes, I'm so happy. It's not until August 2022, but it's Murder Out of Character, and a serial killer is in Peach Coast, and Spence is on the hit list.
I loved Spence. No, we gotta protect Spence.
That's what poor May thinks too. She's like, wait, this is not a drill. All hands on deck.
And I'm sure the residents are going to love that, because they're all like, murder can't happen here. And now you've got a serial killer. Oh, boy.
Exactly. They're like, wait, what?
That was the other thing I loved about the book. Like, sometimes it feels a little bit of a stretch why someone would get involved in a murder mystery, especially in small town cozies. But this just was so natural, the way you approached it. It was like, I was like, this might have been the best I've read, at least in a very long time, about how naturally how they started investigating. I mean, they didn't even start investigating to find the murderer. They just want to help their friend. And I was like, oh my gosh, like anybody would do this. Like this just felt so natural. It was great. It was well done.
Thank you so much. You know, Anna, I feel the same way that you do. Sometimes I'm not understanding why this person wants to put their life on the line just because they're curious. But you see, I love the way that you approach your mysteries as well, because there is an element of, she's not doing it just because your Lady Darby mystery series. She's not doing it because she's curious. She's doing it to help the investigation. That makes perfect sense to me. It's not her background, but it makes perfect sense to me why she would get involved.
I think it's really, yeah, I'm with you. I feel like your characters really need to have an important motivation for why they're getting involved. You know, I mean, whether because that to me can hinge on my believability of the whole situation. So
yeah.
And I think sometimes it gets short shrifted is what I'm saying. I mean, sometimes it's well done or it's done well enough and I just gloss over and don't even worry about it. But other times I'm like, but this one was like spot on. Like, yes, yeah.
Well, I'm so glad, because that was very important to me. And as you said, sometimes the characters just pull you right into the book, and so you can suspend your disbelief.
Right.
But sometimes not so much. So let me ask you. Exactly. Snap out of it. Moonstruck. Snap out of it. So let me ask you, Anna, how did you come up with the Lady Darby character?
Oh my goodness. So I had been trying to write, I'd actually been writing more like romance, but I kept having mystery sneak in. So I thought to myself, well, man, I'd really like to try to write, maybe I should flip it. Maybe I should try to write historical mystery with some romance. And so I just have this voice that started talking to me, which sounds crazy, but it's just the way it is. And I was working on something else at the time, and I was like, okay, I'm going to set this other thing aside, and I'm just going to give myself a couple days and just write, just let this person talk, because I kept having hammer it into me, don't keep starting things. You need to finish or you never will, So I was like, okay, just give it like a couple days. And I did, I gave it a couple days, and I was like, I could just tell there was something different about it. So I wrote it out, and then I set it aside and I finished my other thing. And then I came back to it. And when I came back to it, I was like, okay, if I'm going to work on this, I need to like put some thought into this. And so it was Lady Darby talking. And so then I basically was like, okay, why is she telling me this story that happened? And it was basically the first chapter of The Anatomist's Wife. And I was like, so why is she in this situation? All these things. And so I kind of just crafted her backstory from what she told me, but also, I wanted to write historical female sleuth, but I wanted it to be realistic that she would be investigating. And I was like, what skills could she bring? And I didn't want her to be the social darling, because there are a lot of characters, they're just charming and they can get information out of everybody. And she is not that person. She's awkward. She's, you know what I mean? Like, she's like how I feel like I would be. And so I was like, well, what other skills could she bring? And then I was like, well, what about medicine? Well, women didn't study medicine at that time, but I was like, well, how could she get medical knowledge? And that's how the whole thing about her husband and the anatomy textbook and all that stuff came out. That's how she got her medical knowledge. And that really, that event formed so much of her character, and what happened to her, and why she's in the Highlands and why she's hiding and all these things. So it was a little bit of just inspiration, just her talking to me, and also me consciously thinking it out. That's kind of where she came from. She was kind of a mishmash.
Oh, that's brilliant. And I love the way that you're releasing them too. You're releasing them very steady, on a very steady calendar.
Oh, yeah. I've been really lucky that I've been getting renewals, and renewal contracts is such a big deal. I mean, like, And I'm super blessed about that. I mean, book 10 comes out next year. I can't even believe it, that there's going to be 10, I mean, like, and she's going to keep going. And Verity's book 5 this year, and so I've been really blessed, and I've been so grateful to readers, because it's all because of them. I mean, they weren't reading it and buying it and asking for more, then there wouldn't be more, so I'm just glad that they've connected, I mean,
wonderful.
I think that's the big thing. When your characters connect with your readers, that's the main thing to me. Like, that's why they want them to keep coming back, so.
Right. So what are you going to do to celebrate number 10?
I know, I was thinking this. I was like, I should do something big. It's in April of next year. I don't know. And this is hard too. It's spring break week. I feel like Lady Darby always comes out spring break week. So my family, I think we're going to have to do something. Like, it's hard because, like, my publishers want me to travel once we start traveling again, but, like, it's also spring break week, so I don't leave my family. So I'm going to have to find a way to travel with the family, and then maybe do some book stuff too, so.
Well, don't forget to get the donut.
Yes. Yes, I will find the donut shop wherever we are. And I roped my daughters into it now. Like, anytime, like, for their birthdays and special things, they're like, we gotta get donuts. So you want donuts for their breakfast,
Oh my God.
It's important. It's an important thing to pass down.
Seriously.
Love of donuts.
So are you still doing a lot of research for your Lady Darby mysteries? Or do you have?
I am. I do. Every book is a little different. Some books have a ton of research and some books have a little bit. So like for the latest one, well, for book 10 that's coming out next year, I did a ton of art research, because art plays a big part into it, forgeries and all that kind of stuff. So, which I love research, and I try to plot my things around things that I like. So it's never a chore, you know what I mean? Like, so I was like learning all this stuff about art and forgeries and all this stuff. I was like just devouring it, because it was really interesting subject to me, so it was a lot of fun to work that into the story. So and get to play with art, with Kira's artist side and all that. So yeah.
Oh, that's super. That's super.
I think readers have been waiting for that, because we haven't had a big art theme in a book for a few of them. So it'll be nice to tap into that. So
awesome.
Well, if anybody has any other questions, we're going to wrap up in just a couple minutes here. So you still have time if you have any questions. Just want to put that in there. So, and you've told us, so you've got the next one is in August, and then your new series will be in 2023, the first one. Yeah. That's right. That'll be great. I love that. The spices and the West Indies and all that. I love it.
I think that one is January 2023.
Oh, cool. Okay, good.
And I told, the story itself starts in March. So I think it'll be within the same season. So that's good. Yeah.
Good. I know it's always a little tricky. I think like I have a Stroke of Malice is this winter cover. It's January in Scotland, and I think it came out in, when did it come out? It came out in like April. So it's like a weird timing, you know what I mean? Like, but I mean, it happens when I tend to have Lady Darby books come out every April now. So it's like, well, it's not always going to be April. So the way it works out.
My editor at St. Martin's, my first story takes place in March, but then the second story was going to be set in June, and then the second one was in May, and then the third one would be June. And my editor said, well, the one that you're setting in June, it might actually be released in a January. So I was like, oh, I wanted to kill them on the outside, but I guess I have to kill them in the winter. I
don't know. I think readers roll with that. I mean, because it's cold. They want to read about it being warm, honestly. So.
Sometimes they don't get to it right when it releases.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah.
I was buying for that, but she's so nice. So I moved the body inside.
There you go. You rolled with it. Which sometimes is the only thing you got to do. The only thing you can do.
If I can insert a cat into a book that had no cat, then I can move the corpse inside.
Exactly. At least Sister Lou wasn't allergic. That would have been really bad.
Well, the editor suggested that I give her cat allergies to explain why she didn't have a cat of her own. To which I said, well, how could she have a beloved cat if she's allergic?
Right.
Help me help you. Help me help you.
Oh, I love it. I love it. We're gonna be laughing about that forever. like Christina Dodd in the cover that the lady had 3 arms. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Yeah.
I heard about it. Oh my gosh.
Like, how does that work? You have to look it up if you've never seen it, people. It's really funny. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. I'm hoping you were laughing along with us because we were having a blast. And I hope you will check out Olivia's books. Murder by Page One is the newest, and it's excellent. I highly recommend.
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
thanks for coming.
yeah, thank you for joining me. And I hope everybody has a wonderful night.
Good night.